Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 11 of the anime series Show by Rock. And it all effectively comes down to this. Part one of a two-part finale. Dagger Morse is putting his plans into action. And it's incredible as we start this episode because we've already seen how malevolent Dagger can be with the dealings he had with Krita, and there was an overhanging question ever since that episode. You know, what did he do with them? Did he murder them? We have that answered in this episode, but I think it's quite intriguing at the start. You know, there's this worry about Mr. Berry and Grateful King. We know they're one and the same, and we see that Grateful King is actually alive, but he's had all of his energy just spent because of his trying to communicate with Xian through, you know, the Mr. Berry guitar, and Dagger had sort of stumbled onto this and was exploiting his energy to make him just sort of bottom out. And per a verbal agreement, you know, I guess Grateful King has been kind of biding his time with the hope that he could take down Dagger's machinations from within, and yet he still penned a song that, you know, Dagger hopes to rule all and conquer all with, using that trio of Xian, Shuzo, the guy that Ram knows, as well as we see in this episode, Dayu from Surozura. You know, that's his sort of trifecta of uber power, you know, if he can bring those three together, and he's going to use the Grateful Rock concert, as we're finally getting to in this episode, to break everyone apart. I love that, you know, the sort of first half of this episode was seeing all of these familiar faces, other bands, with the exception of Krita, all cropping up again. I mean, even Mari Mari and her partner Sugihagi that we saw in the Yokai episode, and the two girls whose names escape me, but they have sort of very mermaid looks to them. I really dig the one with the almost like glass waterwork hair, and they're talking about you can only have 2 bottles of water and you know, for free, and then you have to buy the rest. And I think it's Riddle who gets a jab in about, well, now we see why you are so wealthy or well-to-do in the water production market and everything. But I think it's somewhat naive on Grateful King's part to think Dagger would actually let him go after penning this song and holding up, as he puts it, his end of the agreement. That's never going to happen. You know, he'd be lucky if Dagger doesn't just out and out destroy him or kill him or what have you. And we see that he sort of explodes into this cloud of dark energy, and we know darkness is coming as all of these bands come together for the Grateful Rock concert. And it's funny because some of them are actually allowed to perform, even Shingen Crimsons, they get to perform. It's not until Surozura is on the stage that suddenly the other foot drops, and this dark monster looks like a giant moth, like Mothra from the Godzilla movies and everything, shows up on the scene and is, you know, spitting out these energy bubbles and encasing everyone but that trio of Xian, Shuzo, and Dayu. And it's interesting because we see how formidable Dayu is. She gets into that sort of cat shell form, and it becomes almost like a robotic weaponized thing that she goes up against this giant dark monster moth. And you have these, like, fleeting glimpses that Xian is, you know, feeling these impressions that inside this, you know, moth, it's actually Rosia from Krita. Finally, we have the answer. What did Dagger do? He just turned, well, at least, you know, we know it's Rosia into a dark monster. What about the rest of Krita? Are they all part of it? Remains to be seen, but at least at the center of it is Rosia from Krita, and she's screaming bloody murder and pleading for someone to help her. And it speaks to an idea that maybe Dagger's influence was what was guiding her all along. Maybe she wasn't as malevolent as we initially thought, but I did speculate in the early going that she would become a dark monster at some point, and now we see that come to fruition in this first half of a two-part finale. And we leave off with the stunning revelation of her being this monster, and Xian is basically calling off Dayu's attack. And it's like, whoa. You know, and then there's the footnote of Maple and Angelica having a secret mission. We see them speeding off, and he's screaming bloody murder in, you know, the sidecar of a motorcycle. I believe they're going to try to save Grateful King. They're going to try to break into Dagger's tower and, you know, break him free or what have you. But it kind of loosely has played out like I suspected, that all of these bands would come together. They're not all as yet fighting. I mean, we leave off with the cliffhanger, and I think that may come in the next, you know, episode, the finale episode. They may all join together, join forces and fight. I love that there was a lot of speaking to that end by multiple, you know, people in these different bands. I mean, even Crow is talking about taking this guy down. You know, you have sort of, they're talking about taking him down, and everybody wants to stop. You know, who is familiar with what Dagger's trying to do, everyone wants to act together and put a stop to him. And so it just ramped up the tension tenfold. You know, this entire episode, seeing them all come together, seeing Dagger finally put his machinations into motion, and he's overseeing the entirety of this. He wants to destroy all and rule all, and he's going to use his main three focused upon benefactors, Xian, Shuzo, and Dardayu, as the force to be reckoned with if he can control them. And I love how there's that one fleeting little jab from Grateful King. If you underestimate her, meaning Xian, if you underestimate Xian, she's going to take you down, mother trucker. You know, it's like, hell yes. And so I'm just primped on the edge of my seat. Cannot wait to see the finale next week. And I really hope they hand Dagger his ass once and for all. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 11 of Show by Rock. If you've seen it, if you were as amped as I was to see all of these different bands and factors coming together and putting on a good show for a little bit, and then having that show interrupted by Dagger's machinations. And are you just stoked to see them take him down in one big opened can of whoop ass? You know, in the final episode for this season and potentially for this series, which has been a thorough blast, I gotta say. So yeah, that is pretty much it for me on this. I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.